Oh,
Okay.
Star Wars. Let's talk about pirates instead of Star Wars and the
Yeah.
stress of getting Star Wars tickets. Let's
Sure.
talk about Pirates of the Caribbean. Hey, Christine,
Yeah.
which Pirates of the Caribbean movie was your favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
The first one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
I was trying to
I
dig for a joke. I couldn't.
I
So
know
I'm
you
going to
were,
leave
but
it because
I
we have a
didn't know
Star
how.
Wars trailer to watch.
Yeah, I didn't know how to go with that joke.
Hi, it's welcome to World versus Land, or Disney World versus Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Forget it. We've got a Star Wars trailer to watch. There's no time. There's no time for any of this.
No.
This is the series in which we compare the Disneyland and Disney World versions of the same attraction, talk about what's different about them, which we like more, and why. And this episode is about Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's also probably going to be super short because the Star Wars trailer premieres in like, how long?
I don't know. I had the live stream of the football.
It's like
game.
8 minutes or something.
Maybe more because football has a lot of like timeouts and BS and commercials and stuff in between.
Disneyland's the better version. Sorry, Disney World. The end. Goodbye. Okay, we can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, let's start with... I think we should start with the Disneyland version. I think that's the more fair one to start with because it is it is the original, and it is, I think, a lot of people argue the better one. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. You want to talk about real quick the differences between the two?
First difference is the queue. So, a huge part of the queue takes place outside, which we got to experience because it was fairly busy when we went.
Yeah.
And a very short amount of it takes place inside. But when you're inside, you actually get to see the boats coming by, like, further back in the line, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to be all the way up at the loading docks. You actually see people on the boats. Like,
there's that little, like, curve around the front it goes around,
And that was really cool. But obviously Disney World has a lot more indoor space and indoor queue stuff and more theming in general because of that.
Which is like a general, I think, theme of Disneyland versus Disney World is like more indoor queues, more detail in Disney World. Disneyland, they're more plain, just back and forth, roped off spaces. Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this a lot. Probably will continue to. But yeah. And then what's the other? Oh, then the next major difference for me was 2 drops instead of 1 drop.
Yes.
And Keith explained to us that the 2 drops is because there's only so much land that they have for Disneyland. They had to build the ride even deeper than the one in Disney World, and so that's why you have to have 2 drops. It goes further down than Disney World. But I liked it. I mean, thinking beyond that, I enjoy a little bit of thrill in my rides, so having 2 drops was cool and unexpected from someone who's been on Disney World and never been to Disneyland.
You skipped another part of that beginning before the drops, which is that there's this, you go through like this indoor bayou area, which, I mean, points, indoor, outdoor, points for that one.
Oh yeah, Rob,
and
his eyes he was happy.
It was great. It's like this nice, like, New Orleans bayou at sunset or just after sunset, and you actually float, almost similar to Mexico and Epcot, you float by, I forget the name of the restaurant.
Isn't it called like Blue Bayou?
It might be.
Something simple
Might be.
like that.
I think it's the Blue Bayou.
Somebody's
but you're floating by a restaurant, and people are sitting there eating their food, watching people float by in pirates. I like that sort of mixing of 2 things, and I love indoor outdoor, so that was like a huge hit for me.
It reminds me of Mexico, but it also reminds me of Living with the Land.
Yeah.
You can see what is it? Restaurant blanking.
Garden Grill.
Garden Grill. Yeah. If you look up and people can look down. So yeah, I like that stuff too.
Yeah. And then you get down there, and I think at that point, at least for me, the differences become very hard to notice. There are still differences.
Well, you missed the whole very longer opening part.
Yes.
So
that's after the drop?
Is it before? No, you're right. It might be before because that's how it's also planned out in Disney World, right?
Right.
You go through that whole cave, you drop, and then you get to the scene with...
Right. You pull out into the boat, firing.
So, yeah, that part where you're in the caves and they're kind of building up the whole pirate thing is bigger, longer, whatever you want to call it, in Disneyland. It definitely takes like a couple more minutes to get through, and there's a little bit extra there, like scene wise.
I guess what I was saying is I think once you hit to the town that's being, pillaged by the pirates, that area seemed very similar. And I'm sure to like the expert there are probably a lot of differences, but I felt like it had all of like the core tenets of that portion of the attraction that it just didn't stick out to me. It's very similar to, I think, Splash Mountain, which we'll talk about in a future episode, where I feel like so much of it is so similar that the differences just sort of go by my head. And I think part of that's also, it's just we haven't been there in, like 2 or 3 months now.
Yeah. I think another big difference, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it had something to do with the exit. It was like one of
the ending's
scenes.
different. So in Disney World, you sort of make a left around this curve and you see Jack Sparrow just sort of chilling with all this treasure. In Disneyland, he's still also chilling with treasure, but it's actually as the boat is going up. So the boat actually goes on an incline, whereas in Disney World, you get off the boat and then you go on like a walking ramp up, similar to like Space Mountain. So it sort of keeps the ride going as you get back up to a surface level, which I like because it expands on the ride. It makes the ride a little bit longer. I mean, you're going to be traveling that way anyway. Might as well keep theming it. I thought that room was cooler.
I wonder if a part of it, and maybe not, I guess you could make an like a conveyor escalator thing that's that steep. But I wonder if part of it is maybe it was easier to get the boats up that because you're doing member double drops, so you're still further down. So maybe that's the thinking. Like it's easier to just pull the boats up.
Then get people. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what their thinking was behind it. I do think there's a book about Pirates of the Caribbean, the rides. Well, there you go. Look it up. Figure out the answer. Not right now, but eventually. I think it's funny because the differences aren't numerous, but they are major, right? Like the beginning, everything up until you see that boat and it's them firing on each other is very different. But like if you were to count out the differences, there aren't a ton of them. I think the real question is, which one do you like better?
I like Disneyland better.
I am in agreement with you.
I feel like we keep saying this. It's another one of those, if I could take the cue of Disney, slap it on Disneyland, boom, perfect ride. Because I do like the queue better. Obviously, Disney World, it also gets you out of the heat. That's a thing I often think about when I'm like waiting for these rides. Obviously different, more humid in Florida, but that's nice. And I like just that dark, I don't know, there's just a cool feel about walking through like
those tunnels are awesome.
But Disneyland overall is I love the 2 drops. It's a little bit longer of a ride.
Bayou.
Get the indoor outdoor. There's a lot more going for it overall.
You can definitely tell it was the original, like that it's I don't know, it's there's more into it because I mean the story behind it being that they weren't planning to put it in Disney World and then they decided to, so it does feel like they just sort of not rushed it, but they're like, all right, well, let's take what we need to and move it over there, as opposed to like, let's get this whole experience over there. So I do think it is much better in Disneyland. I agree with you. I would say one argument for the queue in Disneyland is that, and maybe this is as somebody who's been there only once and that was our first time, is that I enjoyed that the outdoor queue let me watch the rest of the park while I was waiting. Which, it's not themed or anything. It doesn't fit with Pirates. But I like that I got to watch people move it around. It was a different way of, like, taking in the vibe of Disneyland. So
especially because you line up down and then come up and around and then back down. So when you come up and around, you get to see more of the area. So, yeah, I get that. It makes sense.
So there you have it. I think we both agree Disneyland has the better Pirates of the Caribbean. But I want to know what you guys think. Which one do you think's better? Maybe some of these changes are more valuable to you than others. Maybe you like Disney World's better, and there's a reason why. Let me know in the comments below. You could also let us know on Twitter. I'm at Rob Plays. Christine.
I am at Ivy Winter YT.
And if you want to see more videos about Disney and more gaming videos in general, you can find them on Christine's channel, which is...
It's Ivy Winter. If you search that, you'll find me.
There you go. And we are going to go watch the Star Wars trailer, which will be in...
4 minutes and 56
4
seconds.
4 minutes! Oh!
show it right. I mean, we don't.
Oh my
But
gosh.
guys, I hate football, and I am watching a live stream of football just for this trailer. That's how important it is to me.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a great week. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it because it makes it that much better. I hope to see you next time. Oh, also let us know what we should do next.
Oh, yeah.
For the next Disney World versus Disneyland.
Disneyland versus Disney World.
All right, we got it once. That's good.